We're making the juiciest and most tender honey ginger chicken breast that is quickly pan-seared with a tasty golden crust. Then we add honey, ginger, rice vinegar, soy sauce, garlic, and butter to make a delicious sauce. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you would love to make healthier recipes of our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. To make the honey ginger chicken, we're going to start with 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I like to start by pounding them out first to an even thickness because that makes them the most juicy and tender. The easiest method I have found to do this is to put them both inside some plastic bags. Then I just take a heavy object, which is my rolling pin, and then I'm just going to gently pound them out to an even thickness. So I'll start from the middle and then pound my way out. And once they're pounded, then we can simply pull them out of the bag, and then I'll place a piece of chicken on top. And next we want to season our chicken before we pan-sear it. So we're going to start by sprinkling on some coarse sea salt, and we want to be very generous with it. Then I'm going to sprinkle on some garlic powder and sprinkle on just a little bit of pepper. And then I'll gently pat those in, flip them over, and repeat. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can just click on the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the recipe on my website with all the details. Well, those look great and they're ready to be pan-seared. Now before we pan-sear the chicken, we want to have our sauce ready so we can go into the pan as soon as the chicken is done. So in a small bowl, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of rice vinegar, 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, and then right after the oil, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of some honey. And having that little bit of oil in the measuring spoon helps that honey slide right out. Next, we'll add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Next, we're going to add some ginger, and if you have the option of using fresh, then I highly recommend it because the flavor is amazing. So I'll use my little zester and zest 1 teaspoon of ginger. And we'll add that right to our bowl. That smells so good. And then to thicken the sauce, I've added 3 tablespoons of water just to a small bowl. And then I'll add 1 teaspoon of some cornstarch. You could also use tapioca starch. And then we'll just stir these together until dissolved, and then pour this into our sauce. And then lastly, I minced 4 garlic cloves, and I have 2 tablespoons of butter ready to go. So now we're ready to pan-sear our chicken. Now to pan-sear our chicken, we need to use a sturdy frying pan. A cast iron works really well, or I'm using my Hexclad hybrid pan. I'm going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of some light olive oil just to lightly coat the bottom of the pan. So I've turned my heat to a medium-high, and I can tell the oil has a really beautiful sheen. So we can go ahead and add our chicken. So I'm just going to carefully lay away in my pan. And that instant sizzle is exactly what we want to hear, because that means we are getting incredible color on the bottom of our chicken. And then we're just going to let this sit and cook for about 3 to 4 minutes, or until we have that golden crust on the bottom. It's been 3 minutes, so we can go ahead and flip our chicken over. Ooh, look at that gorgeous color that we have. And color equals flavor. Now we're going to let these cook for about another 3 minutes. And we're going to start checking the temperature with our meat thermometer until the temperature reaches at least 165 degrees. Then we'll know that our chicken is completely cooked. Well, it's been about 2 minutes, so I'm going to come in and start checking our internal temperature with a meat thermometer. And we are on the 170s there. And about 170 there. Now we are easily above 165 degrees, so this chicken is done. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce my heat to low. And then I'm going to take the chicken out and put it onto a plate. Now, a real important step to making sure that we have the juiciest tender chicken is letting it rest before we slice it. So we're going to let this rest on our plate while we make our sauce. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Now I'll just move that around and help it melt. And we're going to add our 4 cloves of garlic, and then give that a good stir so it can start to soften in our butter. And I'm going to turn my heat to medium, and then we'll just let these cook for about a minute or 2, or until our garlic is nice and soft and fragrant. And your nose will let you know as soon as that garlic is nice and soft, because that garlic smell is going to fill your kitchen. You're welcome. Now that I can tell my garlic is nice and fragrant, I'm going to give a quick mix to our sauce, and then go ahead and pour that into our pan. And you want to make sure you get any of that honey that might be resting in the bottom of your bowl. And now you can just use your spatula to stir it in the pan. And then as it simmers on this medium heat, it's going to activate the cornstarch, which is going to help it start to thicken. So it's been 3 minutes, and we now have a very thick, gorgeous, and incredible smelling sauce. So I'm going to give it a good stir and turn off the heat. And we'll let that rest until we've sliced our chicken, and then we'll return it back to our pan. Well, it took about 10 minutes to make the sauce, which was the perfect amount of time to let the chicken rest. So I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this to my cutting board. Make sure we pour the extra juice on top. Now we could have cut our chicken breast into bite-sized pieces and then just sauteed it in our pan, but I have found that pan-searing the chicken as a full breast, letting it rest, and then chopping it up to the bite-sized pieces gives you the juiciest result. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my chicken into strips. Oh, that chicken is so soft and juicy. And then you can add your sliced chicken back into your pan with that incredible sauce. And then we'll gently stir them into the sauce. And this recipe will give you a generous amount of this honey ginger sauce so that you can serve it with your vegetables or your rice or however you enjoy this chicken. Well, I am ready to enjoy this chicken. That is incredible. As soon as you bite in, you get the most delicious burst of those Asian flavors. I love the sweetness coming in from the honey and the tang that's coming in from the vinegar. And then getting the hint of ginger is so good. And the chicken is so moist and tender and just soaks in all of that sauce. And I love that it's made with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm gonna feel just as good even after I eat it. Now you could also add a little more spice or kick to this, and I've included some suggestions in the recipe link in the video description below. And I want you to know that I believe in you and your ability to make the healthy foods that are gonna leave you feeling fantastic from the inside out. And I'm gonna support you in any way that I can. And thank you for joining me today in my kitchen. I've included the link to the full recipe, and it's in the video description below, which takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.